Love these visuals. I think these are so fun and engaging for students. So the one on the left here is the planning a welcome party. So we're looking at a second grade lesson. They have four options, obviously for food, four for drinks, four for decorations, and four for activities. And with this lesson, we're really looking at student preferences. It's very student-based conversations. But they're not necessarily focusing so much on the financial part of it, just more the what are you giving up? And can you be okay with giving that up? And if two people in your group don't want to give it up, how can we work through the process to plan a party that we would all feel welcome and have a good time at? On the right, you will see an example from the CFPB lesson. Sorry for the acronym. That's that fourth, fifth grade lesson. And this one is focusing much more on the cost of each item, and it gives them a finite amount of money to spend. I believe it's $15, but it could be less. You also, of course, could choose the amount of that you want. And I love this because it's somewhat realistic, right? Like, healthy things are not always cheaper, but ice water costs nothing. How many people actually, serve ice water at a party? Hamburgers are always going to be like the most expensive thing when you have a meat and a protein in there. Fruit is usually less expensive than candy, things like this. So give some great examples. And then just for the adults, I just love the note at the bottom that the prices could be higher or lower. In this economy, they might all be higher. But it could also be a great extension, having the kids take this list to maybe a grocery store or something, if that's an opportunity that they have, and seeing what is the difference between what this activity says and what the real world says, because that is laying the foundation for a bunch of comparison shopping skills in the future. And I think that's really fun. Kind of lays the floor for the understanding of inflation as well. Oops, that was not supposed to happen. Sorry about that. Okay, and then our next set of lessons focuses again on opportunity costs, right? Scarce resources. We're making these choices. We're responsible for the choices we make. This is another great context for kids to apply this in choosing a pet, because there is an opportunity cost and positives and negatives for every pet that you could possibly think of. So I am still focusing on the two sources. This first one is going to be from the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau. It is designed for grades K through 3, and about making spending choices. And I'm actually going to show all the graphics on the next screen, but you can see here, there's one little clock, and that's the cool face emoji. But 5 clocks is the exhausted face emoji. So not just money on this pet, but how much time do you want to be spending on this pet as well? One thing that I do really like about this lesson is you may see it says their students listen to a story about getting a pet and then evaluate the time and energy different pets need. This lesson connects to a series of stories that the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau has developed called the Money Monsters. They're fully digital stories, and you could project them if you have a projector or print for small group reading. And it's a great primer. It's a great hook for the lesson. Listen to this story. It's very short, very cute, about getting a pet. And then they have this standalone or this no prep lesson that goes along with it. So this is not just great lessons, but a lot of this stuff would be really good for emergency subplans. So something to consider also. And then another pet lesson that I love is Danny chooses a pet. And let's see. Sorry, Milady, you got that? And then this lesson really talks about the costs and benefits, again, of these different choices. They use those economic terms, costs and benefits, which I should have used rather than pros and cons, right, Pam? But so for this scenario, Danny, it's actually a really sweet story about Danny. He wakes up on his birthday, he lives with his mom and his grandma, wakes up on his birthday and there's no present for him. And he tries not to act disappointed, but he is really disappointed. But he got a card and he opens the card and it says, you don't have any gifts, but this year we're asking what kind of pet you want, and that will be your gift. Um, which is I just think just very sweet. And then they use a decision-making grid. So both of these lessons kind of introduce the concept of using that grid, that graphic organizer, to organize our thoughts and make decisions. So now let's kind of go over to the graphic so you can see a little bit more of these lessons. So, oh yes, so there's the full graphic on the first lesson, and you can see they have not only the clocks, but also the money. So, how much time, how much money are you going to spend on this pet? And looking at the second graphic there, we talk about fish, hamsters, birds, cats, and dogs. And they have kind of a scale there on the time and money that each one would cost, which again, I think would be wonderful discussion opportunities for kids, because they're all going to come at this from a different place depending on their household, organization, and culture. And, so I think it would be a really fun discussion. And then they make independent choices, obviously based on this graph. And then their Danny is deciding between a puppy, a kitten, a bird, a turtle, and a rabbit. So turtle and rabbit. He doesn't even consider a cat, which is interesting. His criteria, as we can see here, he's, like I said, using the PACE decision-making grid. So it has to be quiet. I think that's because he lives with his grandma. It has to be easy to care for. And his main priority is he wants it to be a friend to him. He wants a pet you can play with. So as students look at this criteria, how much can you play with a bird? I honestly don't know. I've never had birds. If anyone has had a bird, please feel free to share in the chat how much you can actually interact with them. But I think giving students these criteria. Oh, Milady's had a bird. Oh, they're great. Awesome. Sorry. But giving students the criteria would be the first scaffolded support that you have, right? This is Danny's criteria here. For an extension or for your early finishers, perhaps they start creating those criteria and start to think about how that would be different from Danny. But either way, students are looking at choices and opportunity costs and evaluating both the financial impact and, in this case, the personal impact through time, which I think is just an amazing way to have them look at a big decision like getting a pet, because it's actually a huge responsibility, right? And I think this lesson really does communicate that. Okay, we are right at that halfway point here. I want to make sure I answer any questions about the lessons, if you have any, before I jump into our FEPPP library resources, which is going to be the second way that we talk about these cross-curricular opportunities. This time we'll focus on social studies, financial education, ELA, and CEL. And Miss Milady Garcia.
Yes, I believe Emily had a question about the availability of the lessons. Will they be linked? Will they be shared? She loves it so far.
Yes, so within the PowerPoint, if you would like us to send that to you, everything is linked within the PowerPoint. I'm also more than happy if you want to, yeah, absolutely. So just let us know. We don't generally send those out just because they're pretty big files. We'll convert it to a PDF. It's a linked PDF. But just make sure you let us know when you send that survey, the response survey back in there, that that's something that you want, and we'll absolutely email it to you. Also, if you click on my little QR code there and you get my Blink, which is like a digital business card, you can send me an email right now and I'll make sure that we follow up with you. This is literally why we're here. So yes, we will absolutely make sure that these linked lessons get in your hands. Barbara, no problem. Thank you so much for coming. I'm really glad that you were able to be here. I hope you find it useful. One more thing I just want to mention because we had that amazing question. Again, I come to this position, which I love and I'm obsessed with, but with a very teacher-centered point of view. So if I say that the lessons are directly linked, you should click on there and find the PDF pops up. I have been in the place where someone shows you something really cool and then you can't find it afterwards. And that is the last thing I want to do. If I tell you that it goes to the crossword, that crossword will pop right back up there. We really try to make this no hunting and searching for you because, again, you have so much on your plate already. There's no way we want to add more. We're in the business of helping take things off plates or making plates smaller, not adding on more plates. And with that, I want to jump into the FEPPP library, especially while